certain smile. Johnny Mathis, it's 18 minutes to 9. Children in Need on Radio 2. And 07133338222 is the telephone number. The new figure, the total we gave you a few moments ago, £74,934. And thank you for every penny. Now, through the week, we've been checking with Debbie Greenwood, who's been swanning about the United Kingdom. She's in Bristol today. Aren't you, Debbie?
Yes, and since I last spoke to you, I've been all over the place. I set out yesterday morning. I went from Birmingham to Kidderminster to Worcester to Cheltenham to Cardiff to Newport, and we arrived here in Bristol last night. There was lots going on. We popped into the Hippodrome foyer. We saw the paws up there on the kiosk, where they're on display.
These are Pudsey paws.
They are Pudsey paws at only 50p a sheet. Now you can buy them there. It's not probably immediately obvious when you walk in, but they are on sale there. So you just need to ask the staff, and they'll happily sell you some paws.
Okay, that's at the Bristol Hippodrome.
That's at the Bristol, which is part of the Apollo Leisure Group, so that they are on sale at all the Apollo theatres in the country. Mm-hmm. So we popped outside, we walked up the main street, and it was amazing, the things that were going on.
Right. Well, just arrived in Bristol, walking along a very, very busy street, and what do we see but Pudsey paws! Brilliant, brilliant. Who are you?
I'm Matthew Newport.
And what are you doing?
I'm collecting money for children in need.
How's it going?
Brilliant. Wonderful.
What are you dressed up as anyway?
Ducks.
Quack, quack.
Quack.
Quack, quack, quack. And you've got... You're not a duck by any manner or means.
I'm a little girl.
What's your name?
Suli.
You've got paws at home too?
Yes, we have. Lots of them.
All over the place?
All over the windows, all over the chairs.
And good value at 50p?
Definitely.
Thanks very much.
So it was all, as I say, it was all going on. There were people collecting out in the streets, in the cold, collecting money for children in need. And we were out in our Pudsey mobile, which is this huge white Toyota space type thing. It's got stickers, it's got Radio 2 stickers, and it's got huge, giant Pudsey paws on the outside. Mm-hmm. And when we got back to the car, 2 of these giant Pudsey paws had mysteriously vanished. But then we did see the group that we had spoken to going in and out of pubs, collecting money, having a great old time. And Matthew Newport, I accuse you of stealing our Pudsey paws, because we saw them stuck to your duck outfit. But we don't mind. We don't mind, because we know you're doing a great job raising money for children in need. But it was quite fun. I'd like to say a special hello to Alex Heath this morning. He's in Rugby. He's only 5 years old, and I have a photograph in front of me. He's a sweet little boy, and he has paws on his dialysis machine. And if that's not enough, he decided to put on a magic show and a drum concert in aid of children in need. Many thanks to Nigel, Carol, Oliver and Victoria too. They've written in. And Ludgvan County Primary School near Penzance in Cornwall, they have got paws in their school. They're in Pooh Bear's 100 Wood Freeze all over the place. And there's 5 and 6 year olds today will be singing at 9:30, I announce it, My Best Friend's a Bear. We had a letter from Tricia Podmore. So it's all going on. We're still giving away Radio 2 goodie bags to anybody who recognises us in the street or sees a Pudsey mobile. And we'll be heading off very soon towards Swindon, where we'll be visiting W.H. Smith, which is in Regent Street, and we know that they've been sighted there, and they are actually on sale in all branches of W.H. Smith.
So watch out for Debbie, recognise Debbie, and you get a goodie bag. You're going off to Oxford as well?
Well, probably, yes.
Probably, if you can fit it in.
Yes. I mean, the itinerary is still pretty loose, but I do need to get back to London for...
You do indeed. We expect you here at about 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work, Debbie.
Can I just say, please buy your own paws. Don't take off.
Debbie Greenwood, thank you.
50p.
Talking to us from Bristol this morning. 14 minutes to 9 o'clock. And 07133338222 is the telephone number to call. I'm going to let you fill for a second, because I've got a spectacular donation to mention.
You're going to have a think about it. Right, I'll do that then. Lynn and Amy of Profile in Poole have a £10 donation if I'll mention Mrs. Chumley. I'm not sure whether she's a Cholmondeley or just a simple Chumley, but she's 101. If it's today, happy birthday, Mrs. Chumley. And Sheila Roger wants me to say hello to all at Mitchell Diva, and she will donate if mentioned. I hope you will donate if we didn't mention it as well, but hello to everybody at Mitchell Diva.
OK, now, this nice big donation comes from Chris Glasby from Cambridge. and wants to dedicate it to a national club. He's the secretary of the Sporting Bears Motor Club, classic saloons, sports cars and so on. They organise motoring events, raising money for children's charities and so on, and they welcome any members. Now, I think I can give you this telephone number, 0223 833317. That's the Sporting Bears Motor Club. How much is the donation? £2,000. I thank you. Would you ding the £2,000? Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Indeed. Chris Clasby.
Well done. But as we always say, though, £2,000 or 25 pence, it makes no difference. Each is as important as the other. And Michael John Schumack of Salisbury has pledged £1 to hear Whitney Houston with I Will Always Love You, and Sarah Turner of Suffolk £10 for the same record. She wants me to mention Dave as well.
OK, here she is, the ornate...
Over ornate, to some ears.
Whitney Houston.
She never stops. Can't see one note that wanted to give you 4. Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. 8 minutes to 9 on BBC Radio 2, Children in Need, 071 333 8222.
Elvis Presley coming up for Angela White of Hampton, £5. Thank you very much indeed. And this is to Father Ron White and children who benefit from children in need. Joe of Lancashire, £5. Thank you. Mrs. Watson, hope you're feeling better very soon. Gerald Philcox of Kingsbridge, £10. The wife is out milking. Thank you for that information. Thelma Williamson of Gosport, £5 for 4-year-old son Nicola, and hello, couldn't be Nicola, Nicholas, of course, and hello to Dad as well. And Mr. Deadman of Hampshire, £10 for him. And it's all shook up, a fave of mine of Elvis Presley.
Have I got time to mention my Elvis Top 20?
You have 15 seconds.
For which we are voting at the moment. If you want to vote, then send your entry in the Elvis Top 20, your favourite Elvis track, to me at this address, Elvis Top 20, Ken Bruce Show, BBC Radio 2, 88 to 91 FM, London W1A, 4WW.
Well, bless my soul.
Hey, I'm all shook up. Radio 2 UK weather.
5 to 9, the south will become cloudy with rain at times. Northern districts will be windy with scattered showers and snow on high ground. It will be pretty chilly everywhere today. Some regional detail: southeast and southern England, the Midlands and Wales. A cold sunny morning, but quickly clouding over with rain by late afternoon and this evening. Temperatures between 7 and 11 at the highest. East Anglia, Lincolnshire and Yorkshire, cold and sunny for much of the day, becoming cloudy later this afternoon, although it should stay dry. Temperatures between 6 and 8. The north of England, Scotland and Northern Ireland, cold, rather windy with sunny spells and blustery showers of rain, hail or sleet. There'll be some snow on high ground as well. The northeastern borders should stay dry, temperatures between 3 and 6. The weekend, rain will spread eastwards on Saturday. It will be cloudy and mild on Sunday, but windy in the north with some rain.
Radio 2 Travel News.
In Tyne and Wear, an accident is blocking one lane of the northbound A1M near the New Bladen Bridge. Tailbacks are building. In Kent, the A2 blocked London-bound by a broken-down HGV on the Jubilee Way in Dover. But in Dorset, the A35 Dorchester-Bridport Road has reopened after the earlier accident near Dorchester. In Wiltshire, black ice is affecting the A4 to the west of Marlborough. Ice also a problem on untreated roads in parts of Powys, Clwyd and the northwest, so watch out. In Scotland, the A93 Braemar to Perth Road still closed by snow. The M6 in the West Midlands, a very slow southbound between junctions 10A and 8 near Wolverhampton, and also northbound between the NEC turns and the A452. The A321 in Berkshire, this is closed during a burst water main on Finchhamstead Road in Wokingham. Diversions are in operation. The M5 in Avon, lane closures both ways at junction 17 near Bristol, causing delays. And finally, rail news: delays of up to 30 minutes during emergency engineering work on the North Downs line between Reading and Red Hill, which takes it to 3 minutes to 9.
And it's Children in Need on BBC Radio 2. We are interested in you only for your money. We like your money, but it's your money we want, really. 071 333 8222 is the number for you to phone in with your pledges. We have a new total. We'll have just been updating it over the last little while, and we have now reached the massive sum of £78,906. Brian gave you the obligato on Anglepoise lamp for this occasion. I think he's shaping up rather well in our organisation. That's a good total. We could do with a bit more. 071 333 8222.
Now, Sarah Reynolds of Reading, this is for your husband, who is Keith, and he's driving from Reading to Milton Keynes, and especially for you and for him, Buddy Holly. Heartbeat from Buddy Holly, 071 333 8222. We'd like to hear from you with your donation to Children in Need. 88 to 91 FM. This is Radio 2 from the BBC.
The news at 9 o'clock. This is John Marsh. The railway unions and the group that looks after the interests of passengers have voiced concern about the effects of the financial problems at British Rail. It's emerged that vital investment in projects such as signalling could be cut on top of the 5,000 job losses announced yesterday. If old signals begin to fail, parts of the network will have to be suspended. The chairman of the Central Transport Consultative Committee, Major General Lennox Napier, says the result would be disruption, but not a fall in safety.
They may go slower, they may have more breakdowns, they may have fewer trains. But after Clapham, I cannot believe that they will not continue to keep the railway safe. But they have ceased investing in many minor projects, and there are many major ones which are crying out for investment and are not now on the back burner.
An outlawed loyalist terrorist group, the Ulster Volunteer Force, has said it carried out last night's attack on a country bar in County Down. One man, a former schoolteacher, was killed and 3 others were wounded, one seriously. The United States and the European community have succeeded in narrowing their differences in farm talks, which are threatening to cause a transatlantic trade war. The latest negotiations ended in Washington, with both sides saying that progress had been made and they've agreed to meet again, probably next week. The Lord Chancellor, Lord Mackay, is calling for closer international cooperation to combat child abduction. Lord Mackay, in a BBC interview, says some European community countries turn a blind eye, but he hopes they'll bring their procedures up to British standards. Armed robbers struck at a farmhouse in Kent early this morning, leaving 9 people tied up. 2 have been taken to hospital, but their condition isn't known. The robbery happened in the village of Sevington near Ashford. It's not yet known what was stolen. The weather forecast: the south will have rain at times. Northern districts will be windy, with scattered heavy showers, giving snow over high ground. It'll feel cold nearly everywhere. BBC News at 9:02. Our next at 10.
BBC Radio 2, Children in Need.
Last year's appeal gave £3,000 to the Good Shepherd Centre in Bishopton, Renfrewshire. It's a Christian organisation providing care and education for troubled adolescent girls. They've used the grant to refurbish a kitchen and dining room to give a more homely setting for 12 homeless girls.
Children in Need.
And we'd like to do even better this year with your help and cooperation. You can call 071 333 8222 to contribute to Children in Need. The total, as we have it at the moment, £78,906. Thank you for every penny. Add to it 071 333 8222.
And there's still time for you to pledge money to have Brian Hayes do something embarrassing. Not much time.
Even more embarrassing, you mean?
Yes.
Very embarrassing.
We'll have trouble coming up with something. Norman Walker, or Waller it may be, of Bidborough, it's an appropriate name for a place like this, for a day like this, wants to mention all nursing staff at Nuffield Hospital in Tunbridge Wells. Colin Leighton in Northwood has £5 for the staff at Mandarin German, Marble and Stone Limited, Southfields, Wimbledon, London. And Shirley Priest, well, I knew we had women priests nowadays, I didn't think that. She's in Princess Risborough, £20 for her children Andrew, Susie and Jonathan. She tried several years to get through on this without success, trying to get a record played. This year, she's managed it.
And so has Sandra Still of Grays in Essex, £25. Thank you for your husband Bill, mother, dad and mother-in-law, all family and friends. And Margaret Kesteven of the Wirral, £5 for daughter Elizabeth, who is 17 today. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. A little while ago we had Whitney Houston, And we made some kind of oblique reference to the fact that she tends to over-decorate.
Well, I think you said that, Brian. I don't remember saying anything
I think
at
you
that time.
agreed very readily.
I don't remember that
In fact, I
bit,
think you
no.
exaggerated the point.
If Miss Houston's lawyers are listening, I don't remember that at all.
No, we love Miss Houston. Not to mention her lawyers. We love them particularly. But speaking of OTT, here is the great OTT performer, the great late Freddie Mercury. I always feel totally exhausted after that.
Drained.
Absolutely, yes.
She's a big woman, that, isn't she?
She is indeed, yes, and sings very high notes, doesn't she?
I don't know how she gets them.
No. Freddie Mercury's not too bad either. It was Barcelona. It's 9 minutes past 9, and through this week we've been featuring tracks from our CD of the week, Sensual Classics, with that sexy cover design. And our competition, the prize for which was a romantic night, well, it's as romantic as you care to make it, for two, at the Dorchester Hotel in London with all the trimmings, champagne, chocolates, 3-course dinner for two in the hotel's terrace restaurant, use of the hotel's spa, no less, breakfast in bed. We're speaking here of a 4-poster bed and £100 spending money. What a prize. Now, the question was, this particular track, which comes from the Sensual Classics CD, is Ravel's Bolero. We asked you to name the male star of the film 10, which used the music for a particular sequence. We won't describe the sequence.
Oh, go on. Describe it.
Let the music speak for itself. Yes, you remember the sequence, don't you? Well, the answer was fairly simple, but we had some unusual suggestions. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn.
I wonder where that idea
Yul
came
Brynner, Dustin Hoffman, Bernard Manning, and quite a few people named George Raft. Well, he was, in fact, in a 1934 film called Bolero with the delicious Carole Lombard.
Really?
But, yeah, he was indeed.
I didn't know that.
And the question, however, was who was the male star of the film 10? Totally different, nothing to do with Bernard Manning or Laurence Olivier or indeed anybody else. The answer was Dudley Moore.
Oh,
Wasn't it?
I thought it was Jane Torval and Christopher Dean.
And the film also starred Julie Andrews and Bo Derek. It was directed by Blake Edwards. And the winner is, as Ken Bruce puts his arm, his entire being, into the bag of correct entries.
Huge sack, and I've disappeared into it. I'm digging deep.
And this is for that romantic night for two at London's Dorchester Hotel.
Oh! Come on.
Just glance at it so that it makes sense first, because it could be embarrassing. There sometimes are these drawers.
No, this is
all right, is
it? Don't talk about your drawers on the radio, please. Yes, this is a correct answer. The male star of 10 was Dudley Moore.
So far, so good.
And the correct entry comes from...
Oh, yes.
I think we need them. Thank you. Mrs. J. Blackshaw of Chalgrove in Oxford. Mrs. J. Blackshaw, Chalgrove, Oxford.
And congratulations to you. You'll be hearing from us, and we hope we'll be hearing from you after the romantic night for two with all the trimmings at the Dorchester Hotel.
Do we take photographs of the romantic night, or what?
Well...
like blind date?
It could be negotiated, I should think.
That's fine. I'll buy the negatives.
Right, moving swiftly on, 9:12 is the time, and 071 333 8222 is the telephone number to call in and contribute to Children in Need. Look at that total, Ken.
Ah, yes, we've done it.
Yep, it is.
£80,518.
I thank you.
That's remarkable. Yes, because, but I mean, only it seems a matter of moments ago we were saying we've just broken the 70,000 mark, and there we are over the 80,000 mark.
Can we set a time for the 100,000?
It's dangerous.
What time? Well, no, nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's coming up to 9:15, really, so... when do we think? Certainly no later than 11 o'clock.
Oh, no, I was going to say 10:30.
Yes, I think you should say 10:30. Say it.
Right. Say 10:30.
Right, OK. That's 100,000 by then.
But we'll accept 11 o'clock if it doesn't happen. Mike Jessup...
Yes, we're not going to stop.
No, absolutely. Mike Jessup of Carlisle wants to hear a Glenn Miller piece of music for all the blokes in 355 Field Security Section in Kuala Lumpur in 1946-1947. Jimmy Young was probably there, as far as I know. £5 he's pledged. Thank you, Mike. We will have a Glenn Miller in a moment. And Joyce Davis similarly wants a Glenn Miller tune in memory of her late husband, Lewis.
And so does Hazel of Sussex, who's donated £10. Glenn Miller, Moonlight Serenade. No sooner done than said. For all the Glenn Miller fans, the Moonlight Serenade. 071 333 8222 is the telephone number. We'd like to hear from you with your donation to Children in Need. We're over the 80,000. It's £80,500. That's the total at the moment. So at 16.5 minutes past 9, we pause for thought. Podsy pause for thought, really. And joining us today from Wells is the Bishop of Bath and Wells, the Right Reverend Jim Thompson. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian. For a year after the birth of our first child, we hardly ever had a night's sleep. The baby would cry and bawl, and though we tried everything, we couldn't solve it. He ruled our lives. I remember feeling so angry and rocking the carry-cot with a sort of inner violence. My wife, Sally, and I often wondered in that year how we would have coped if either of us had been on our own. There have been other times in our children's lives when we felt their power over us in the growing up battles, the war of independence, rows about clothes, food, telly, friends, and staying out. And I believe it's a mistake to give too much too early. But in Children in Need Week, we should remember that most of childhood, the real power lies with the parents. It's amazing how often people talking about their depressions, their fears and resentment in later life return to the abuse of parent power as the root of their problem, violence, sex, or just cruel words. Sometimes I've seen a middle-aged person curl up like a child as they look back into the rooms of their childhood. Our power over our children, whether it comes from physical strength or our bank balance or whatever, has potential for good or evil. Jesus said those somber words, "Anyone who causes one of these little ones to stumble would be better off with a millstone round his neck." Being a parent is not easy. We all need our support systems, but children need the proper exercise of parent power.
Yes, we've got to exercise the power that we have, and we have it because we have experience, we have the years, and so on. Children, on the other hand, have to exercise power in their own way because it's part of the instinct to survive, isn't it? And it's a matter of these two powers working together and achieving something.
Yes, and we have to just remember that the enormous balance rests with us, and if we misuse that balance, then we can do permanent damage.
Thank you for your thoughts this morning. Right Reverend Jim Thompson, the Bishop of Bath and Wells, talking to us from Wells. It's 19 minutes past 9, and those words particularly pertinent to children in need, and you can call us on 071 333 8222. Pat Kinchin has called from Harefield in Middlesex, £300, and thank you very much indeed. Say hello and thanks to all at Barden Court Sheltered Housing, and good luck with the raffle tonight. No sooner said than done. When I said that a few moments ago, of course, we had an awkward gap, didn't we? Penny Bonfield of Whitwell, £15, wanting to hear Dolly Parton. Lots of people wanting to hear Dolly Parton. Terry Waller, for instance, a driver from Edinburgh, has donated £5. Jean Davis from Stonehouse, £5 as well, and saying hello to the constables of Gloucester Police. E.B. Pellet of Brighton, £10, and this is for your husband, Wally. Daniel Astaire of St John's Wood in London, £5. Anyone who wants to go anywhere is the dedication. An anonymous caller from, well, totally anonymous, in fact. No name, no location, but £50, which is the important thing. And for you and all the other Dolly Parton fans, I should be going soon, shouldn't I?
If you'd spoonerised that worse, it would have been an appalling thing to say.
Yes, absolutely. Would you like to say Islands in the Stream, just in case?
Highlands Industry.
Islands in the Stream, he said carefully. 24 minutes past 9, and I would like to say this carefully as well. 071 333 8222. What's that? That's the telephone number for Children in Need. We'd like your pennies, your pounds, if you can make it, for Children in Need. £82,064 is the total at the moment. 071 333 8222. Just a couple of things I've been holding, not deliberately holding back, not quite fitting in is a better way of putting it. Elgin Jones of Central London, £5. And will Tony please buy the lads a drink at lunchtime? I'm sure he will. Lillian Harris of Ridge End, £5. And this is for husband Bill. A rather enigmatic little message here. Mind the tram.
Mind the tram. I think this is probably Soviet Russia still sending messages over to the Krugers or something like that.
Mrs. Alford of Porlock in Somerset, £5. I think that is correct. Oh, it looks as though it might be more. Anyway, you know how much. That's the important thing, and thank you very much indeed. A dedication. Royal Oak High Street in Porlock. There's a skittle. Oh, the Royal Oak obviously would be a pub, I should think. A skittle marathon in aid of children in need. It's at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon and at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So that's the Royal Oak High Street, Porlock. If you could just let me have another moment or so, Kenneth. A letter.
Do you wish me to read something while you think? Or...
No,
it's
okay.
Right, fine.
I'm in control.
Yeah. Barely.
Everyone at L. Adams Limited of London, NW10. We, the employees, about 40 in total, have again through the year been putting all spare coins in our old spirit bottle for the Children in Need appeal. And we've done better this year than last. Our cheque for £80 is enclosed. Would it be possible to give us a mention during your show, either Thursday or Friday between 7 and 7:30? Oops. Well, I hope somebody tells you.
British summertime or Greenwich Mean Time?
Yes, I'm very sorry about that, everyone at L. Adams Limited. It is slightly difficult to get everything into the time slots that people request. Anyway, you also want us to, at the same time, which is now between 9 and 9:30, wish Des Kemp, our managing director, whose idea it was to have the bottle there in the first place, a very happy retirement. So all the best to Des Kemp, and thanks to everyone at L. Adams Limited. Just one other thing, Ken, the Castleford Male Voice Choir, I mentioned them earlier. I just want to mention it now because it's a little bit closer to the time. What they're going to do is sing for about half an hour in each of the M1 northbound service stations. Here is a brief run through the schedule. At Scratchwood at 11 o'clock this morning, Toddington 12:15, Newport Pagnell 1:15, Rothersthorpe at 2:15, then 3:15 at Watford Gap, just over an hour later at Leicester, 4:20, at Trowell at 5:30, at Woodall at 18:40, 20 minutes to 7, and at 10:08 at Woolley. And, of course, the idea is to raise some money for children in need.
I hope they've got a police escort, because the M1 on a Friday can be absolutely appalling.
It can be. It's going to be joyfully uplifting.
I hope they hit their schedule. Well done. I've got a pledge here from, wait for it, Canny Everett.
Canny Everett?
That's what it says here. Maybe it's Carrie. East Yorkshire. She wants Ella Fitzgerald. And so does Celia and Tony Coward as well. Locking in Somerset they are. They want to wish the rest of the family a safe journey to Somerset, obviously heading down there for the weekend. And drink, no doubt. Audrey Kessord of Barnet has a greeting and a dedication for the Green Room of the Operatic Society, ha ha ha, who are putting on Anything Goes next week at Potter's Bar.
So?
Anything does.
Times have changed.
Do-do-do-dum. Ella Fitzgerald, Anything Goes. I did a concert with Ella Fitzgerald once. I felt so, I don't know, proud, and I just couldn't believe that I was actually on the same stage as Ella Fitzgerald.
When you say did a concert with...
Well, I shouted at it, and I introduced the first part.
You said, ladies and gentlemen...
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ella Fitzgerald.
That sort of stuff. And on she trotted. And the strange thing about it... stop me if I'm boring you.
No, you're not. It's fascinating.
When she did... in rehearsal, when she arrived for rehearsal, this was about 10 years ago anyway, I think, she really at rehearsal was... unimpressive, it must be said. You know, I was sitting in the stalls watching this. I thought, oh dear, you know, maybe she's getting too old for this. And then, when it came on to performance, absolutely different, as if she was a 25-year-old again. Brilliant performance, remarkable. Great lady.
I met Susie Quattro once.
All right.
It's just after 9:30, the time I usually...
Is that why you wear leather all the time?
Time I usually sashay off. If you'd like to call 071 333 8222, we would be very grateful indeed for your pennies, your pounds for children in need. 071 333 8222. We're going for 100,000, aren't we, Ken, by 10:30?
Yes, it's an hour from now.
Yes, and at the moment, this is not absolutely up to date, but at the moment we have 82,435. I suspect there are a few thousand sort of waiting in the wings to be added to that total.
In the back pocket, probably.
In the back pocket, yes.
Well, we hope it all floods in before 10:30. That's our little target we've set ourselves. Mrs. Henderson of Edinburgh has pledged £20 to say thank you to Ken Bruce and Brian Hayes.
For what?
That's what I'm trying to work out.
For existing, I think.
No idea whatsoever. And Claire Dawkins of Chichester, £30, thank you. Elizabeth Murray in Doncaster. Her husband John is driving to Doncaster from Scotland at the moment. I think I've got the direction correct. Thank you for the pledge. And Eileen in the Midlands. To Eileen's husband, she misses... he died in 1990. She misses him very much, especially the walks in the park together. Thank you for the £10 donation, Eileen. Very kind of you.
Sybil Middleton of Worthing, £50. Thank you very much. Barry O'Shea of Solihull, £5. And Roland Kinnear please excuse if I've mispronounced your name. Even the writing is a bit iffy, let alone the pronunciation. But Roland of Gloucester, £10, and thank you very much indeed. Phil Hennessy of Buxton, £20. You want to mention the marvellous staff of the Royal School for the Deaf in Handforth, Cheshire. Thank you for looking after all the children, especially Matthew, Phil's son. Mrs. Susan Schofield of Humberside, £10. Mary Ashford of Dover, £5, and that's a special dedication for your husband.
Francesca and Jill of Kimpton, they're actually here helping out with the sorting of the requests and dedications. They want to say a quick hello to Georgie, Olivia and Dulcie, who are listening at home with Daddy. Hello!
Hello. And we have some people wanting to hear Dire Straits, right? First, Duncan Jeffrey of Wapping, and a £25 donation.
Mrs. K. Pounder of Shildon in County Durham, a £10 donation, with greetings to her new grandchild.
So how dire can you get, Dire Straits? It's very nice car radio music, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, you sit drumming the steering wheel as you drive along and plucking away at air guitars.
How long? This long. Mrs. Wood of Hereford, £3. Thank you very much indeed to all children, my best wishes. Mrs. Joyce Barrow of Preston, £10. This is for everyone at Larcher's House in Preston. Mr. Robin Fish of Haywards Heath, £50, and thank you very much to Robin Fish. And Molly Jackson of Sussex, thank you for your £10. We'd like to hear from you on 071 333 8222.
Here's yet another donation with thanks to Brian and Ken. We don't understand it, but...
'Twasn't nothing.
No, absolutely. And it's a very good donation, £100. Thank you for that, from the anonymous lady. The customers of Carlton Road Post Office in Nottingham have raised £400. Thank you very much. They're mostly pensioners, these customers, and they have donated part of their pension to children in need, which is more than kind of them. You have done very well. Thank you.
We have some people wanting to hear, and quite rightly, Manhattan Transfer, doing Chanson d'Amour.
Ra-ta-ra-ta-ra.
Ian Dunlop of Aberdeen, for instance, to the tune of £15, and thank you. Alistair Davidson of Aberdeen, also. Goodness, must be some kind of Manhattan Transfer fan club there. £35 from Alistair. The Aberdeen University Conservative Club, between 9 and 10. Will we manage to hit it this time?
I've got another one from Aberdeen. Did you mention Ian Dunlop?
Yes.
Oh, I've got him here as well. £10. He said, if we play it again, he'll also give a bottle of champagne. Non-negotiable champagne. However, Brian will probably drink it. And Jean Ingleton of York wants Manhattan Transfer as well for her sister Margaret.
Well, you see, that's the odd one out. All the rest are Scotland, including Richard Wilkinson of Glasgow. £10. What is it between Manhattan Transfer and Scotland?
BBC Radio 2, Children in Need.
Wasn't that tasteful? It's 18 minutes to 10 now on BBC Radio 2. The number for your pledges is this, 071 333 8222. Repeat it again? Or repeat it, I should say. That was a tautology, wasn't it? It was. 071 333 8222. Any pledge, large or small, is what we want. And we have a new total, I think, Brian?
Yes, and we're setting our target for £100,000 by 10:30, so we're going to have to get our skates on. The total at the moment, £85,062. £85,062. We need about 15,000, don't we? Not very much, really.
Oh, we'll easily get that,
Yeah,
provided
absolutely.
everybody gets the dialing finger going, if anybody still has a dial on their telephone. Mike Brown of Ash has donated £10. Thank you, Mike. Ellen Lucy of Braintree wants to say hello to all Great Bradford infant school children and good luck with their Christmas bazaar, which is tomorrow night. Merry Christmas to all our readers. And Irish Young of Poole, love to all the children of the world. Good generalisation and worth it. £5, thank you.
Here, we're going to hear Berlin, the group, as opposed to the city, and You Take My Breath Away, which was used for the film Top Gun, but it was also used for a television commercial, wasn't it, with cars going through burning cane sugar or something. Doris Fenton of Manchester has donated £2 to experience that, and with thanks and gratitude to the doctors at the Wythenshawe Manchester Hospital.
I had one of those cars once upon a time, and every time I went down the road, my neighbour's hedge burst into flame. Mrs. Fenton of Wythenshawe, did you mention her just a moment ago?
Who?
No, Mrs. Fenton of Wythenshawe.
Yes.
Yes, I've got one. £2. How much is yours?
£2.
I'll see you at £2 and I'll raise you a Berlin.
Good morning. If you've just joined us, it's Children in Need on Radio 2 through until 7 o'clock tonight, which means there's plenty of time for you to call us with your donation to Children in Need. Should mention that Michael Crawford is going to be joining us a little bit later today, flying in especially from the United States of America, where he's making a new album in Los Angeles. He's going to be coming around about lunchtime today. So you don't necessarily have to wait until then to call. But what you could do is call Ken, Bruce and myself now with a donation. And then, because you're so excited when Michael Crawford's here, you will call again and we'll get 2 donations and up will go the total.
I'd just like to point out that I flew in specially from Ealing this morning to be with you.
Yes, I noticed. And I heard the chopper landing on the roof of Broadcasting House.
Yes, well, we have our own heliport here, of course, and it was a rather elderly affair, but I got here nonetheless. June Alexander is somebody totally different, one of your great heroines, I should say. Yes, this is June Alexander, who has pledged £5 for any Nat King Cole record. We will have one in a moment. Ursula Downer of Walton-on-Thames similarly wants to say good luck to, I think, anybody. Pamela Mantle of Brixworth in North Hampshire has a greeting for Joseph, Pamela's new great-nephew, who is only 6 weeks old. I have a 5-week-old at home. I know the trouble they can be. Mrs. Brooke and Mrs. Purley of Tiddydale in the West Midlands. You ever heard of a Tiddydale?
I haven't heard of most places in the United Kingdom.
Fair enough. £10 has come from there. How about Wagga Wagga? Have you heard of that?
Just, yes.
And Mrs. F.M. Brown of Aberdeen wants a record in memory of Mr. Leslie Brown, who died 16 years ago on the 22nd of December. £10 is pledged for that. Anything by Nat King Cole she wants.
And Mrs. Pat Norman of Bristol, £25 for husband Eric and for a Nat King Cole track, which will come up shortly. Pat Cranford, £5. Pat Cranford, Lower Frummel in Hampshire. Best wishes to parents, Charlie and Irene of Hove. Yes, is this Sheila? It looks like S-H-I-H-E-A.
That'll be Sheila.
It's something like that. The surname is Bull, the location is Mitcham, the donation is £10, and Alison and Natalie, my 2 lovely daughters, a dedication to them. Peter Toffelis of Broxton in Cheshire, £5. And for Alan Winton-Jones, hope you're well. That call from Peter. And Edith Sumsian of Northolt, £10 in memory of my husband, says Edith. Let there be love. And there was. Let there be love.
Shearing.
Yes.
I did another person I have appeared in concert platforms alongside. So many of them. That was Nat King Cole.
What was your personal observation of that experience with George Shearing? Was it as exciting as the Ella Fitzgerald experience that we heard about earlier?
It was a thrill, a rare and great pleasure.
A great artist.
Pleasure. Absolutely. And Mel Torme was singing as well. Wonderful singer.
One of, well, in a sense, underrated, not by musicians, but in a sense underrated. One of the truly great singers of popular songs.
An original.
Yes, absolutely. He could write a few as well.
Absolutely. 071 333 8222 is the number we wish you to ring for your pledge, please, as soon as possible, because we seem to have been, I don't know, it's just gone a little slowly in the last few minutes, because we're still only at £86,237, which is a fine total, but we have set ourselves this minimal target of 100,000 within the next 40 minutes or so. So if you can possibly achieve it and spare a few pence, whatever you can afford, then, it is updating now. I'll give you the number again, then we'll see what the total is. It's 071 333 8222. 071 333 8222. And as if by magic, it has updated to exactly the same figure as it was a moment ago, so we'll have to wait a little longer.
Isn't technology wonderful? This business about embarrassing things, I think, has come back to haunt us, Mr. Bruce. Pat Gear of Suffolk has donated £10 for Jimmy Young's Unchained Melody, and it also says here, Ken and Bruce are my favourite presenters.
Yes, well, I have the split personality problem.
The beginning and the end.
Yeah. I thought we were only playing music on this programme, though. This is the problem we have here.
Well, I don't see where we should start.
Yeah.
Does your next one connect with this?
No, not really.
You get that out of the way, and
I'll
we'll go
get
back
that
to
away,
it.
yes. Judy Cross of Fulden and Norfolk says to tell me, she has pledged £5 for the privilege, that if I'm referring to the competition, it is Postie of the Year, not Postman of the Year, because she is a postwoman. I have to say hello to all post people in the country on her behalf. Hello! All post people.
Yes.
Post persons.
Now, the Radio 2 publicity department.
What? Is there such a...
I thought I'd leave a
them.
little gap for
yes, yeah.
a little bit of
do remember hearing something
observation.
about them once upon a time.
Anyway, they've been in touch, which is in itself a feat.
With whom?
And they would like to pledge... I'm leaving.
we know, yes.
Take two. The Radio 2 publicity department would like to pledge £30 to hear pop star Jimmy Young singing the original Unchained Melody, which reached number 1 in 1955. Yes, I remember it well. I used to play it on the radio, Ken.
When it was new.
Here is the catch, though. Here is the catch. Stand by. You both, Ken and Bruce, Brian and Hayes, you have to join in the first line of the song.
All right. Well, I mean, anything will be an improvement.
Well, for £30.
Oh, it's worth it then.
And to get a bit of publicity.
What is it, 2 for nothing and straight in, or a bar and a half or something? Right, we'll go for it.
Okay, let's...
I think we're in.
Do it.
I think we're in about now.
Oh, my love, my darling,
I've hungered
for your touch.
Rex Harrison here.
A long, lonely time.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Wasn't it? That's, of course, taken from the album Now That's What I Call Music. Jimmy Young and the Unchanged Melody, and I thought that was a particularly fine performance of it. And that's when we were singing it, of course.
Well, that was the good bit.
Oh, now we can sing along with this one as well.
Oh, do we have to?
1, 2, 3. The Man from Laramie. Yes, that's enough of that, I think. Very good song, if you like that sort of thing. Thank you to everybody who has phoned in with their donation for children in need. If you could ask for nice records in the future, we'd all appreciate it a great deal. The number is 071 333 8222. Now, some extra money has gone in, Brian.
Some extra money, yes, contributing greatly to our target of the £100,000 by 10:30. It looks as though we'll be able to make it now, because it is up to £96,983, because some of the money which has been raised by Pudsey Paws, your actual pause, has now been added to the total because it's been received. So 96,983. That's nearly 97,000. Only 3,000 to go.
Splendid. You've done a grand job, Brian, over the last... seems like days since you...
Do I have to go?
I'm afraid we're throwing you out
I'm going to move on.
Oh, God, Ed Stewart here. That's all we need. Well, put your hands on the money, careful before he gets in here. Brian, we'll see you tomorrow. No, it's not. This is...
see you on
oh,
Monday.
here's Ed's wallet.
Oops, the moth.
The moth. Yes, there they go. That's all right. He's a white fiver. Remarkable. Queen Victoria on the face. Now, thank you, Ed.
Ed,
See
it's
his
all
credit
yours.
card as well. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
See you again on Monday. 88 to 91 FM. This is Radio 2 from the BBC.
The news at 10 o'clock. This is John Marsh. The rail unions are meeting today to discuss their response to yesterday's announcement by British Rail that it plans to cut 5,000 jobs. It's emerged this morning that the financial problems at BR could prevent investment in projects such as signalling, and that could lead to services being disrupted. The Pakistani army and police have taken up positions around the home in Karachi of the opposition leader Benazir Bhutto. She was sent into internal exile after trying to launch a march on Parliament House to topple the government. One report today says Miss Bhutto will defy a banning order and lead an anti-government march in the northwestern city of Peshawar at the weekend. A murder inquiry has been launched in Leeds after a woman's body was found burning on a fire in the back garden of a house in Chapeltown. Detectives are to question 2 men. Police in Cambridgeshire have arrested 22 men in a big early morning operation at travellers' sites in the south of the county. About 200 officers took part. More details from Stephen Chittenden of BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
The police operation was launched after a series of recent burglaries and car thefts. A considerable amount of property and suspected stolen cars were recovered. At around 7 a.m, police with warrants struck at 2 sites in Willingham, one at Cottenham, one at Whaddon near Royston, and one at King's Hedges in Cambridge. The officers were unarmed, although a police armed response vehicle stood by but was not used. As well as the property and cars, police also recovered a shotgun from one site. A police spokesman said he hoped the operation would reassure people worried about the recent spate of burglaries and car thefts in the area.
Britain's tallest building, the Canary Wharf Tower in the London Docklands, is to be closed to tourists during weekends. It follows the discovery of a big IRA bomb in a van that had been left outside the tower last Sunday night. BBC Radio News at 10:02 are next at 11.
BBC Radio 2, Children in Need.
Last year's appeal gave £3,170 to the anti-bullying campaign in London. This national group supports the parents of children who are being bullied at school. They use the grant to buy a word processor and photocopier, as well as putting some of it towards the telephone costs of developing a helpline and support network.
Children in Need.
That's what it is, and it's BBC Radio 2. The number for your calls and your pledges is 071 333 8222. Anytime you like, and we hope to get to that 100,000 mark within the next half hour. Ed Stewart is... He's been putting his credit cards away carefully now.
Thank you, Ken. I'm very surprised, actually, you were able to read that number from that little monitor there, because you are wearing those rather cheap National Health glasses.
Captain Mannering's spectacles.
They are amazing.
Yes. Would you like to try them?
No, I don't need them.
Why not? You don't bother reading, do you?
No, I don't. I do everything by memory.
You can't.
And with mirrors. If you look up there...
Oh, really?
Yes, it's
just like your bedroom. Now, it's 3 minutes past 10 now.
So it was you.
And Pat Harrison of Skegness has pledged £20 for an Elton John record. So has Wendy Fitzwater of Hove, because she and her friends like Elton John. £10, thank you. And Sylvia Wilson of Hemmingford Grey. Her husband, Jim Wilson, is on his way to Cambridge at the moment.
Right, I've got £20 here for 3 separate dedications. Stuart and Kirsty from Somerset would like to hear any Elton John. To the mum of Susan Griffin, hello Mum Griffin in Handsworth in Birmingham. But very specifically, I think that the latest record of Elton John is going to be, most people are going to remember it for The Father and His Son, because it's the title I've been given here. It's for The Father and His Son record. For my children, says Rita Luss of Broadstairs in Kent.
It's a good song, that, but we're not playing it just yet. We have played it already. We're going to play another one, but we'll no doubt play the last song, for that is the correct title of it, as you know, of course, Ed.
Well, being a professional disc jockey.
When? That is the correct title. People will, I've no doubt, wish to pledge for that later in the day.
Oh, we're not playing it now?
We're not playing that. We're going to play The Crocodile Rock.
Oh. Thanks.
That's Elton John. I like his new hair, don't you?
Oh, I think it's just like yours. I think it's wonderful. Sorry, those are your headphones. Beg your pardon. I thought it was the new style.
Where did you get yours, by the way?
It's a secret.
Really?
Yes. My dentist knows my secrets, my doctor knows my secrets, and now my hairdresser knows my secrets.
Right. Yes, Ronald Reagan's one's been at work in you, I think.
Look at the new total.
Oh!
£99,218 so far. That's marvellous.
Well, we were trying to get to 100,000 by 10:30. Looks like
easy.
We're only 800 quid away from that, less than that.
If you'd like to pledge money for a record of your choice or a dedication, the number is 071 333 8222. Is that an easy way to remember it?
No.
Well, how would you say it?
I say 333 8222.
I don't do it that way, you see.
No. Explains why he's done so well in this business. It's 9 minutes past 10. Incidentally, there's a rock stall at Broadcasting House reception today. I bet you didn't know that.
No, I've never... A rock stall, the stuff you get at Blackpool normally.
That's exactly right. Specially made stalks of rock with children in need lettered right through. Plus lollipops and novelties.
And where can they be found?
They can be found at Broadcasting House reception in London. If anybody happens to be in the London area, why don't they run round before 8 o'clock this evening and... pledge some money or give some money and get a stick of rock.
Because it'll all be sold out by then, probably.
Very likely.
Right, so let's have another piece of music. Something by Dear Ray Moore.
Ah, good old Ray.
What?
Had a lot of requests. We always get a lot of requests.
Always, because they love Ray and miss him so much. So for Ray Moore to sing his famous song, Jackie Stokes from London has dedicated £10. And Ray Moore, please. For My Father Had a Rabbit. Is that the one we're playing, by the way? You know everything about music. Ken, I know nothing this morning. Tell us, what are we playing?
What do you mean, this morning? We are playing My Father Had a Rabbit.
Can I work with this man for another hour? I don't know. We are having that one. OK, will you read a couple out?
Lisa Smith of Amersham has pledged £10 if I will mention Ray Moore, but she will make it up to £20 if I mention my newly born child, Kate. That's £20.
What, your newly born child?
My newly born
or
child.
his newly born child?
I don't think so. £20 for Kate.
Well done.
That's very
And
good,
how is
isn't
Kate?
it? Very well, thank you.
Good.
Excellent. Yes.
Dun International in Derbyshire, thank you, Mr Ditchfield, for pledging £100 to hear Ray Moore.
And Marion Hook of Westmoors and Wimborne in Dorset and wants to dedicate this £25 to his wife, Alma. Hello, Alma, if you're listening.
Right. Oh, I bet she is. Olive Parry from Carnarvon, £10. Thank you for Ray Moore. Any track for my mum, Della, who is 94 and listening steadily to the programme at the moment.
Mrs. J.W. Woolcott, £10 from her. Peter Hartles of Bristol. To all the boys and girls manning the phones so early in the morning. And, 11 minutes past 10 is not quite so early, but they're still there. And also Margaret Hill of Chesterfield for Tracy and her Nana of Middlesbrough. They all want Ray.
It's early for me, because I'm usually in bed listening to you at this moment.
In bed?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's the best place to listen to you, I've been told.
Right. Do you find it keeps you awake?
No, it makes me so lazy.
Thank you.
For all the girls of Carlton Press in Sheffield, a Ray Moore record, thank you, girls, for your £10.
Lots of names. Raymond Medhurst of Aylesbury, to his wife Catherine, Marge Ransom of Newcastle, and Jane Merlo of Trimley to tell her husband. Oh, dear.
That's a good one.
Almost as bad. Where Brian Hayes had a bit of trouble with Dolly Parton fans earlier on today.
Well, I've heard he has a lot of
I won't
trouble
repeat
with
it.
All right, then.
It's not with Brian Hayes fans, anyway. To tell her husband Wyndham to get up like everybody else. Mike Maynard of Ipswich and Barney Mayer of Felixstowe. Good morning to all. Drivers, Hoyer drivers, I think it says, all over the country. £10, thank you.
OK, two more before we play the record. For Janice Hayson from Southend, thank you very much for your fiver. And hello to Jennifer and Philip Hayson this morning. And just an anonymous donation of £5 to hear Ray Moore.